Welcome to the What is Stoicism podcast.
It's obvious to say, but important nonetheless. If we're to make progress toward a more Stoic life, we have to regularly practice the principles of the philosophy. And if we're to regularly practice the principles, we'll first need to understand and remember them. The French philosopher and historian Pierre Hadot wrote of the importance of keeping our philosophical principles at hand so that we're able to use them in response to the events we face, as if immediately answering a question we've been asked. With that in mind, I've compiled a list of 100 short tips to help you achieve the benefits of practicing Stoicism. The tips are intentionally brief to make them more memorable and therefore easier to keep at hand. They represent bigger ideas and are inspired by what Donald Robertson calls the Stoic love of condensing philosophical doctrines into short summative phrases. As the author also alludes to, a list like this isn't a definitive guide on how to live stoically. Hopefully, however, it's a good starting point to prompt some useful self-reflection, intention setting, and ultimately virtuous actions. As Robertson says in his book, The Philosophy of CBT, quote, "Paradoxically, the philosophical framework of Stoicism was both incredibly simple and incredibly complex. Its essence could be stated in a few words, but this simplicity was necessarily deceptive and required lifelong study to fully assimilate at a practical level into one's daily life." End quote. So, separated into short categories, here are 100 tips for a Stoic life. I hope you find them useful. Wisdom. 1. Love wisdom. Philosophy literally translates as love of wisdom. In this pursuit, we gain our liberty. As Epictetus put it, only the educated are free. 2. Be a student of life for life. Constant learning tests beliefs and biases to which we may have become too attached. We can develop the wisdom to guide our thoughts, intentions, and actions ourselves, instead of having them guided for us. 3. Converse with the dead. Ancient wisdom is timeless. Don't be afraid to listen to and speak with those who have left their mark through the ages. 4. Examine your initial impressions. Wisdom lies in using good judgment to test the truth of our instinctive feelings. We can then better decide what we should do and how we should do it. 5. Keep wisdom at hand. Think of Stoic wisdom as mental strength resulting from gaining and using knowledge. It includes creativity, curiosity, judgment, perspective, good sense, discretion, and the ability to provide counsel to others. Courage. 6. Know what courage isn't. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's acting for the right reasons, despite fear. 7. Invoke courage for good reasons. Face your fears. Accept adversity as a challenge. Stand or speak up for what's right. Help others even when there's no possibility of recognition. 8. Understand what's worth fearing and what's worth facing. The intention behind a display of courage is important. There's little value, for example, in needlessly endangering oneself just to appear courageous. 9. Don't equate courage with grandiosity. As Seneca put it, a person battling bravely against illness can display courage, even when wrapped in their bedclothes. 10. Keep courage at hand. Think of courage as emotional strength resulting from the will to do the right thing in the face of internal or external opposition. It includes bravery, perseverance, and confidence. Moderation. 11. Nothing in excess. Pleasures become punishments as soon as they have exceeded due bounds. 12. Let moderation be your freedom. The freedom of having less to worry about, because unhealthy choices are no longer considered. 13. Question your actions. Much of what we say and do isn't essential, it's excess. Ask yourself at every moment, is this necessary? 14. Think of moderation as a seasoning for life. In the same way that Socrates said hunger is the best seasoning for food and thirst for drink. 15. Discipline your desires. By moderating your indulgences, you are more likely to appreciate the things you have and enjoy those moderated indulgences all the more. 16. Keep moderation at hand. Think of moderation as the willpower that protects against excess. It includes forgiveness, humility, discipline, and self-control. Justice. 17. Follow the rule of reciprocity. Treat others with the care, empathy, and compassion you wish to be treated with yourself. 18. Be a saint. A saint, to the writer Kurt Vonnegut, is a person behaving decently in an indecent society. This is the virtue of justice in action. 19. Accept justice as a responsibility. We exist for the sake of one another, wrote Marcus Aurelius. It's our duty to assist and to tolerate. 20. Beware the two kinds of injustice. Cicero describes one as inflicting wrong, and the other as failing to protect those who suffer wrong when you have the power to help. 21. Keep justice at hand. Think of justice as pro-social strength that makes community connection possible. It includes fairness, contribution, kindness, leadership, honesty, and teamwork. Acceptance. 22. Don't equate acceptance with passivity. To transfigure negative events into something more positive by working on what is within your control, you must first accept the reality that you cannot change things that are outside your control. Without that acceptance, you may waste time stuck in denial. 23. Accept the futility of denial. The hand we're dealt by fate is not up to us. Not accepting what we're given is contradictory to nature, and after all, there's little point denying what can't be changed. 24. Accept that the present moment is rarely unbearable. You made it this far, didn't you? 25. Accept that the past is gone and isn't coming back. You learned a lot of lessons from it though, right? 26. Accept that the future hasn't arrived and will always remain uncertain. You can plan for the worst and still hope for the best though, can't you? Death. 27. Conquer your fear. We shouldn't fear death. If anything, we should fear the fear of death. It's what happens before death that we should get to grips with. 28. Be grateful death hasn't arrived. Death will come, yes, but what else is there to do in the meantime than to be thankful and make the most, truly make the most of life? 29. Imagine you've been dead. Imagine you haven't lived your life up to the present moment. Now treat what remains of your life as a bonus. 30. Keep the last time in mind. The Roman Stoic Musonius Rufus said we can't live well today without thinking it might be our last. Approach every experience with fresh enthusiasm, knowing it could be your final chance. One day, it will be. 31. Use death to appreciate life. The shortest and longest lives come to the same thing. Regardless of the length, the only life anyone can lose is the one they're living. This is the incentive to live fully while we can. It's thanks to death that life is precious to us. Past. 32. Redeem the past. Mistakes, regrets, frustrations. We can't change what happened, but we can perform a kind of redemption of the past by learning from it and saying, I'm glad it happened that way. 33. Draw a line. Consciously finding the lesson in a past event is a good way of mentally drawing a line under it and moving on. 34. The past needn't be a prison. It's freeing when we truly realize that we're not automatically bound by what happened prior to today. 35. Interpret the past in a constructive way. The meaning we attribute to past events is our own choice, and the fact that so many people can keep taking effective steps forward in their lives, despite having suffered terribly in their past, is evidence for everyone else that there's always hope. 36. The past has passed. It's a futile act to wish to halt the passage of time, so experience the now, live immediately, live fully, and send passing time on its inevitable way with good wishes. Present. 37. The present moment is enough for you. As Pierre Hadot put it, it's enough to keep you busy without needing to think about anything else, and it's enough to make you happy without needing to seek for anything else. 38. Don't waste the present. Don't dedicate current time to reliving the past or pre-living the future. Both are impossible. 39. Only the present exists. It's only in the present moment that we can be active. With this knowledge, we can diminish pain, knowing that it's only ever within the present moment that we can feel it. 40. Pay attention always. Thoughts about the past and future exert less stress on us if we're able to focus more on the present. Inner freedom is instantly available if we can pay attention to this present moment. The present itself is a source of joy. 41. The present alone can make no one miserable. It's only when we stray outside its limits that we invite mental turmoil. Future. 42. Do not cast a shadow on the present. Worrying excessively about what might happen in the future causes us to miss opportunities to fully engage with the present. 43. Don't rush out to meet your suffering. You will suffer soon enough, if and when it arrives, so look forward meanwhile to better things. 44. Perhaps trouble will come, perhaps not. Some troubles will likely befall us in the future, but they are not a present fact. 45. Limit your anticipation. Don't lose the day in waiting for the night, and the night in dreading the day. 46. The future itself is not guaranteed. We live as though we're going to live forever. We waste hours as if drawing from a well that was full to overflowing. We put off the things we really want to pursue until we have more time. Don't postpone. Control. 47. Understand what is within your control, your thoughts, intentions, and actions. 48. Understand what isn't within your control, aside from the above, everything else. 49. Repeatedly practice what Epictetus called the chief task in life, to identify and separate matters so that you can say clearly to yourself which are externals not under your control and which have to do with the choices you actually control. Good and evil, then, are not found in uncontrollable externals, but within yourself and the choices that are your own. 50. Complain less. We often fail to acknowledge it. Complaining about something that is not under our control doesn't make it go away. The complaint merely makes us lose focus on what we should be concentrating on, that is, the elements of the situation that are under our control. What others think. 51. Seek your own applause. Why should we be indebted to the unreliable opinion of someone else when we want to be praised sincerely? We can praise ourselves at any time. 52. Build self-respect first. If we're to develop a stoic peace of mind and resilience, we should be much less concerned with what the world says about us and much more concerned with how we talk to ourselves. 53. Unlearn reliance on externals. There's nothing wrong with enjoying praise and approval, just as long as we aren't dependent on them. Those things don't depend on us, after all. 54. Remember that everyone judges everyone else by their own standards. For that reason, the judgment often says more about the judge. 55. Praise and criticism are simply judgments. They have little bearing on true worth. As Marcus Aurelius put it, does the emerald lose its beauty for a lack of admiration? Does gold or ivory or purple, a lyre or a dagger, a rosebud or a sapling? Gratitude. 56. Welcome the dawn. Each new day received, each awakening from sleep, is cause to be thankful. 57. Accept the privilege of living. We may feel frustrated at the daily duties we have to do, but it's only thanks to the gift of life that we get to do them. 58. Gratitude is always possible. In most cases, we can be grateful that our current frustrations and misfortunes aren't much worse than they could be. 59. This too shall pass. Endure the negative, engage fully with the positive. None of it will last forever. 60. The most basic level of gratitude, the level that anyone listening to this has access to at any time, is described perfectly by the Stoic writer Dr. Chuck Chakrapani. Even when you feel everything is going wrong, still you have something, your life. Anger. 61. When anger starts to bubble up, pause. The greatest remedy for anger is delay. 62. Think of the consequences before acting based on anger. They are usually much more damaging than the actual cause of the initial emotion. 63. Anger is self-destructive. It is ultimately healthier to heal than to seek revenge. 64. No emotion is so strong that it can't be tamed by training. The more you practice calmer responses to anger, the better you'll get at it. 65. Know your triggers. Take note of what happens in your mind and body just before anger sets in. The earlier you can catch it, the easier it will be to tame. Luxury and wealth. 66. A way to think about wealth from Seneca. It is not the person who has too little, but the person who craves more that is poor. 67. Greater mental freedom can be attained not by satisfying desires, but by removing them. 68. Those who need riches feel fear on their account. They live in a state of anxiety, as they're always trying to add a little more. 69. A shortcut to the greatest wealth, according to Seneca. Not wanting something is just as good as having it. The important thing either way is the same: freedom from worry. 70. A question to ponder from Musonius Rufus. What would one gain from a large and beautiful house, comparable to what he would gain by conferring the benefits of his wealth upon his fellow citizens? Decatastrophizing. 71. Avoid exaggeration. The Stoics would take care not to make difficult situations worse. They did so by describing distressing events factually, without strong value judgments or emotive language. 72. Are you ignoring or distorting objective details about the event? 73. Are you exaggerating the awfulness of the situation, or imagining disastrous consequences where they may be extremely unlikely? 74. Are you focusing only on the outward appearance of the circumstances, when you should be looking deeper into the facts of the matter? 75. Decatastrophize. Test your impressions. Assess the situation objectively, and see things for what they are. Reserve clause. 76. Prepare for failure. Outcomes aren't always up to us. To avoid disappointment, we should try our best, while simultaneously accepting that factors outside our control may prevent us from achieving what we set out to. 77. Expect the unexpected. Nothing befalls the wise person that they did not expect. 78. Temper regret with expectation. Add a reserve clause to your plans as follows: I will achieve my outcome unless something outside my control stops me. Then proceed onward and give it your all. 79. Pay due respect to fate. Before we start putting our plans into action, we can say, I will achieve this, fate permitting. Then, if fate doesn't permit, we'll be less discouraged. We can call it attempt 1 and be ready to bounce back the next time. 80. By knowing and accepting in advance that fate may intervene in our plans, we can save ourselves from some of the mental disturbance that would otherwise have caused us to despair. Fate may not be in our hands, but how we respond to it is. Good, bad, and indifferent. 81. Knowing what is good is important. The Stoic view is that the only true good in life is virtue. Virtue comes in 4 forms: wisdom, courage, justice, and moderation. The virtuous person will therefore act according to all of these. 82. Knowing what is bad is important. The only true bad in life is the corruption of virtue, otherwise known as vice. The contrasting vices for each virtue, then, are foolishness, cowardice, injustice, and intemperance. 83. Knowing what is neither good nor bad is important. Virtue being good and vice being bad, everything else falls into the category of indifference. Indifferents are neither good nor bad, because they can be used virtuously or viciously, without providing benefit or harm on their own. 84. How you use indifference matters. Things themselves are indifferent, but the use of them is not indifferent. For example, money is neither good nor bad itself, but one can use it in either a good or bad way. 85. Good and bad are up to us. Indifference, external things, are outside our control. Our character, however, how we think, reason, and act, and whether we do so in a virtuous or vicious way, is within our control. Kindness. 86. The payoff for kindness, as Seneca put it, is the act itself. The reward for all the virtues lies in the virtues themselves, for they are not practiced with a view to recompense. The wages of a good deed is to have done it. 87. Happily create an imbalance. Keep track of the good deeds done to you, and willingly lose track of the good deeds you do. 88. Kindness is natural. It's in keeping with our nature to serve others, to be generous with our abilities, and even to be tolerant of those who are trying to pass their negative emotions on to us, because they lack the tools to deal with them themselves. 89. Kindness is invincible, wrote Marcus Aurelius, so we should behave towards others, even liars and crooks, with honesty and justice. 90. We're here for a purpose, to love and be loved. Reframing. 91. From Stoic writer William B. Irvine. An optimist is someone who customarily places life's paintings into frames that make them look beautiful, and a pessimist is someone who places them into ugly frames. 92. Reframing is always within our power. By choosing a more constructive way of looking at the issues we face, we can undermine the instinctive temptation to get frustrated, angry, or otherwise upset. 93. How we view the world is a choice. What we choose to see is up to us. 94. Remove the belief, and I've been harmed goes as well. Remove I've been harmed, and the harm goes as well. 95. Get to the source. As Darren Brown puts it, we cannot effectively choose to feel more positive about an event that is bothering us unless we have first understood that it is our judgments which are responsible for how we feel. An encouragement to see the positive in a situation will not be effective if it clashes with a deeper story we are telling ourselves. Perspective. 96. Know yourself. Define the principles that make you who you want to be and make decisions according to them. Get out of bed each day with the purpose of being that person. Soon enough, when you look in the mirror in the morning and ask yourself who you are, you'll have a pretty good idea. 97. You have a place in history. We may be a blip on the timeline of existence, but we're also huge because we're connected to it all. 95. Don't wish time away. Despite having a limited supply of days, we occasionally want to skip over some of them. In doing so, we shorten a life that we already perceive to be short. 99. Think little of generations. No one is truly old. No one has been alive for that much longer than anyone else. Here's why. A generous lifespan is 80 years. We're told that the age of Earth is around 4.5 billion. We're one generation. Everyone is part of a kind of extended family. We should care for everyone. We should learn from everyone. We should share time and thereby gain more of it. This helps us all to live longer. 100. Live each day as a complete life. Apply the finishing touches daily. If the ending of every day is also the ending of ourselves every day, then every new day we wake up to is a beginning for ourselves, the beginning of another complete life.